everyone, welcome to the Inside Gaming Review for Rage 2. It's a game that's got a number on the end of it, but does that make it better? Find out soon enough. All right, Rage 2, the game that no one thought would happen and was a Walmart leak, and I assumed it was not real, but here it is. It's a real video game.
Yeah, when that Walmart leak happened, Rage 2 was the only one that I was like, but why?
Yeah, and like there was Forza Horizon 6 in there, but Rage 2 was the weird one.
It was.
But no, here we are, and yeah, kind of like we were talking a little bit about it before, but it is a sequel to Rage, and it doesn't really get more complicated than that,
no,
which is strange.
It's surprising because I didn't expect it to be a sequel to Rage. Everyone's been asking, is it like Mad Max? Because obviously Avalanche worked on it.
Yeah.
Is it like Doom? Because obviously id worked on it. To me, it's neither. It is Rage with some pink paint and like dialed up a little bit. Maybe they dusted some heroin on it, and then that's what it is.
How did you feel about Rage 1?
I had to rage quit Rage 1 because I got a bug where it would repeatedly sign me out of my profile, and so at a certain point I could not continue playing, and I tried 4 times. But no, I played it, maybe putting 40 hours across all of that, and
oh my God.
thought it was fine.
Okay, yeah, pretty good takeaway.
Yeah.
I tried playing it on PC, it was horrendous on there. So then I played it on Xbox, and I eventually finished it like a year and a half after it came out. And yeah, same takeaway, it's like the shooting's really good, everything else isn't quite there. But weirdly, Rage 2 seems to have taken that same thing and just made it 2, where the shooting is still really good and everything else is like, it's there. The shooting is obviously the brightest spot, I think. And it's weird how much of the id Software DNA you can kind of feel in that. A lot of their design has gone into the guns, I think. There's like a gun where you shoot people and snap your fingers to set them on fire. That's used for like armor enemies and things like that. There's a grab dart launcher where you hit people with a bunch of darts and then shoot where it's supposed to go, so it yanks them there and can splat them off the walls and stuff. So they do a lot of stuff with the guns and also with the superpowers you get to really amp up like the ridiculousness of combat, of bouncing enemies around in a physical arena and stuff like that. It's really fun. And it opens up a lot of potential too, of just like free-flowing your way through a fight. There's a move where you ground pound, and then it launches everyone up in the air, and then there's a split second where you raise your gun up and you can do stuff to people while they're still in the air.
Yeah.
So you can pound and then shoot somebody and then they bounce off a wall, and then it starts a multiplier that gives you overdrive, and like it's a really cool like arcadey sort of combat system that reminds me a lot of Doom.
And I think it encourages you to do it all very quickly as well. Like for example, Feltrite, if you don't pick it up fast enough, will fade away eventually because it's supposedly a volatile substance. So if you've killed an enemy, you still got to run into that battlefield if you need that health and pick it up and make sure that you're constantly moving around. And movement, I feel like, is very good as well. Like it's less restricted hallways, which a lot of I feel like Rage 1 was. It was a lot of like a walkway and then an enemy would pop out and then there'd be a room with some cover, and it's just a lot of that. Whereas I feel like Rage 2 has more open environments, has more like mini towns that you're getting in fights in sometimes. Sometimes there'll be a giant robot in there who can shoot fire at you and bombs and stuff. And it's constantly interesting, and traversal is very, very important and fun.
They give you, there's an air dash now, which not only helps you in combat to kind of string moves together, but there are boss fights where they make you use the dash to dodge attacks. It was weird playing a game like Rage 2 and having a big old boss come out and he's like, I'm gonna smash you, and you have to like dodge out of the way of his fists or eye lasers. A little bit. Yeah, it's just an old sort of video gamey sensibility that a lot of modern games try to strip out, but seems to be coming back in a big way.
Yeah, and I ultimately feel like overall for Rage 2, I enjoy the combat so much that I'm willing to reject every flaw that it has or just overlook it. Because of that as well, I played it on hard because the combat's what I want from that game. So it's like if I draw that out more, then I'm getting more of the thing that I like. And that's made me like it a little bit more. It is very challenging on hard though, I will say that. It's been tough. So like
when I play Far Cry on hard, it means that I just have to hide behind a shrub and use a long range rifle to shoot everybody. Because engaging in close range doesn't really matter, it's just, it opens you up to more damage. But I suppose in Rage 2, since it has the health mechanic, it encourages you to get in there and mix it up.
Didn't have that issue. I wasn't just sitting behind stuff. Though, like sometimes if I ran into something and did die because there were too many enemies, I would usually get in my vehicle, try and pick them off with the turret, and then I would jump out and take out the rest of them. So if it was too hard, I always had something to lean back on. And that's not exactly fun when it's homing and you're just tapping one button or holding it down. It's fine, but it did mean that no matter what, I could sort of thin the herd, so then I could jump in and get crazy and still kill everyone.
That sounds awesome.
Kind of like Doom.
For me, it was Far Cry New Dawn. New Dawn?
That was the
most recent one?
Not Neon Punk, Neon Country.
Yes. It is bizarrely similar to that in that it is an open world game where the gunplay is probably better than the open world aspect, but Rage 2, like the gunplay is so much better, and the combat mechanics are so much better. Far Cry is just like you upgrade your dude, and then eventually you get the ability where you can just hit F like 5 times in a row and throw knives and kill everybody. Rage 2, it gives you those tools, but you still have to aim and use them at the right time, which I appreciated.
And I feel like there's more weapon variety. Perhaps it's less crazy slightly unless you're in Overdrive, which is like your superhero mode you can kind of go into. Some of the weapons do get really crazy and it's fun. But I think there's some more enemy variety in a game like Far Cry.
That's true.
There are tons of similarities to Far Cry in terms of the open world.
Yeah, so let's talk about the open world for a little bit. I started off really liking it, then I just cooled off the more and more time I spent in it.
I immediately didn't like it.
Yeah?
Immediately I was like, I'm bored, and I just drove off a cliff. Why was that cliff there in a game where you're expecting me to drive around a map?
Yeah, so that's the weird thing about open worlds is that there is a map and it's big and open, and in the desert area at least it is relatively flat and you can kind of Mad Max your way around. But then there's mountains and jungle where there's just stuff everywhere and you have to stay on the roads anyway.
Sometimes, that's my biggest criticism is you have to stick to the road, and if you don't, then you're kind of screwed. Whereas in Mad Max, you can pretty much drive wherever. You didn't have to stick to the roads. You could go off-road and like take a cool jump if you wanted and try and jump over a rock if you wanted. I didn't see half as much opportunity to do that in Rage 2. So driving around for me was just stick to a road. Oh, there's a trader, that's cool. Well, like maybe I'd pass by somebody who wanted to kill me and I'd run them all over.
Yeah. There are some cool open world events. There are these giant convoys, like Fury Road style convoys, where you can like get in and start fighting them. You can get in races with people, but you're probably not going to be in a race car most of the time, so that makes it weird. And then kind of much like Far Cry, the open world is just dotted with activities, but a lot of them are just like copy paste style things. They try to do their best. It's like, oh, you have to hold this pylon and defend it until it blows up. And then this other thing's like, well, shoot this thing until it blows up. Okay, and this one's like, okay, find the 20 gas tanks and shoot them.
Yeah.
They try, but it is sort of...
They differ in difficulty pretty dramatically, but you're doing the same thing over and over again, like a Far Cry, like you did in Mad Max. And I guess that'll be fun for people who want to complete the whole map, but for me, I just kind of got bored.
Yeah.
I think even in the main story, there isn't a tremendous amount of mission variety.
Not really, no.
It's not terrible, but it really does feel like a lot of run and shoot.
And the shooting's good.
Exactly. So it's okay, but I'll still say it's not a strong point of the game, but it doesn't matter if it's weak because you're still shooting and the shooting is still fun.
Hell yeah. The upgrade system gets kind of wonky too. There's a lot of currencies. So you need Feltrite usually to unlock the ability to upgrade something. Then you have to spend a specific kind of upgrade token to actually upgrade it. Whether that's like something about your basic powers or a weapon mod or upgrading your powers specifically or even upgrading your base stats. There's just tons of little bits in the game, and you need a lot of them. I like upgrades that fundamentally change base mechanics and give you more opportunities as opposed to just making you better. So there's some of that. I could use more. Yeah, I mean, but I'm also asking for a lot.
The last new game that I played was Sekiro, where all the mechanics do that. So it's like in my head, I'm just like, no, you didn't do that. But obviously, completely different games.
Following Sekiro is rough.
Yeah.
That is a game that's just mechanically
perfect. Don't wish that on anyone.
Well, let's talk about some of the less, I guess, defined parts of the game, more of like the story, the characters, the feeling of the world. Because I feel like there was a lot of effort put into making Rage 2 more campy and fun and almost like hints of Borderlands sometimes with its kind of strange and dour sense of humor.
Definitely agree.
Because people die all the time in Rage 2. It's just like a brutal post-apocalypse, but still people have fun. Even in the intro, there's like a dude who has a hero entrance, and in 30 seconds he gets his head bitten off. And it's like, so there's...
And then explodes. Like, they make it extra ridiculous.
The game is very extra, and I appreciate that. There are some memorable characters. There's some returning characters from Rage 1, no spoilers.
Yeah, this is a sequel.
Because, that's the weird thing. This is a straight-up sequel. It's weird to keep saying that, but I didn't come into this game expecting it to be a literal sequel to Rage 1, but it totally is.
There are environments and characters that return that, again, nobody really asked for, but why not?
Kind of, yeah.
It's cool, I guess.
But I will say, after finishing Rage 2, I feel a lot more endeared to those characters in the setting than I did at the end of Rage 1.
Yeah.
I think Rage 1 was going for the tone that Rage 2 has, but didn't quite get there. Whereas Rage 2, there's tons of just like cool little throwaway lines of dialogue and little bits of detailing the environment that give it a lot of character.
Yeah, sometimes even when they're sending you on a fest quest, the way that an NPC will deliver it or a returning character will deliver it is like, well, I could do that if only I had this. And they're sort of mocking you. You know that they're gonna make you go get the thing, but they build it up to you in a way that's like supposed to be cheeky and is self-aware in a way that Rage 1 didn't do because it took itself too seriously.
Yeah, bizarrely. For a game called Rage, about a man who is angry.
Overall, I feel like the story is coherent and makes sense, but isn't gonna blow your socks off.
Yeah.
It's there.
The major beats are pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's an evil man. He's real evil. Yes. You gotta stop him.
The cutscenes are pretty.
Yeah. So it's funny bringing up the cutscenes because I can't tell if it's just my imagination, but I see so much DNA of all the Bethesda shooter studios participating in this. There's id Software DNA in the shooting itself, and machine games. I can see a lot of their cinematic work in the cutscenes. There's a lot of like creepy punch-ins and zoom-outs and just like cool shaky cam stuff that's a little unnerving, especially when you're talking to an NPC that is kind of gross. They're very good about drawing that out in the way that Wolfenstein made you feel very uncomfortable in a lot of their cutscenes too. So I finished the story at about 20 hours, put another 5 into just doing side missions to see how repetitive they were. That's about where I ended up.
Did you feel like you were happy with the value that you got out of those hours?
Yeah, because I'm not done. I could go back and still have fun with that for a couple more weeks. Yeah. The side missions, I feel like I know what they are, whatever, but that's still cool. It's still okay. All right, on to the controls. I felt like the combat controls were, I really have no complaints.
No complaints. Very good.
Yeah, the only complaints I have are mostly with driving, because that's how you get around the world a lot, to the point where I eventually just found like a little hovercraft that I just zipped around everywhere on, and that had some wonky physics too. But for me, the biggest thing with driving is if you're sticking to roads all the time, there is a sort of GPS that puts arrows down on the road, but it's hard to see turns, especially if you're just blitzing down a road and there's just a right turn. You'll just look down and all of a sudden the arrows will be gone and you have to stop, turn around and go back. There's no mini-map either, so it's not like you can see like, oh, there's a right turn coming up. You just blaze right by it. You know what, not a big deal.
For the most part, like, driving was something that I was literally doing because I had to, not because I ever wanted to or found it fun, which is kind of a bummer. Whereas in Mad Max, I feel like they really made me care about my vehicle, because they really paint that like that's your baby, because that's what the Mad Max universe does, whereas in this it was just like, give me the fastest thing. Outside of driving controls, there's some like major flaws that I found playing on console, where if you are looking at something, occasionally the prompt won't show up. You'll have to like back up and then try to get forward and then back up.
Yeah.
Forward. It's just like one of those games where it's really sensitive about where you're aiming so that you can actually interact. And I did also have some audio bugs where if I was walking away from something, dialogue would cut off or the subtitles would be incorrect, but pretty much minor stuff.
You also get this power to like use your psychic powers to blow shit up, which is awesome. Because I always want to blow stuff up with my mind. So I'd be like, let's go. And then the meter would fill up and then a guy would just... and then like it would just stop and then be like... And then I get shot, and then, you know, there's little things.
Very minor.
Which is a bummer when you got a real, you know, kill boner going, and you got a 10 multiplier, and you're like, I'm gonna blow that up! And then it's a flat tire.
No, you're not.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to those pretty graphics, because holy crap. I was not expecting this game to be so pretty.
It's colorful.
Yeah. It's colorful, and it runs really well, and it looks great. One thing that I was impressed, and this was, again, kind of thematically, yes, this is Rage 2, is that it does open world and interiors equally well. The interiors I was really impressed with for what they have. The bespoke interiors they have for some of the story missions are really well laid out and really well designed. There aren't that many of them, though.
But a lot of the design is very different, and that's one thing that I think impressed me a lot, like if we're talking about the open world. Some of the cities, they clearly have been built in an area that all of the inhabitants recognize how to survive in that area. Like Lagoon is a really good example. It's an area that's in the swamplands, so it's built in a way that it's like, yeah, you would have built this on a swamp, and this is how you would build this, and this is why everything looks the way that it does. So it's just good world building. A lot of the places that you find in the open world environments are very reflective of where they are, rather than all looking the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they just copy-pasted assets.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely been a lot of detail put in by artists. There's graffiti and posters, and a lot of it is unique and interesting, and yeah, it makes slowing down and looking at the detailed environments a reward unto itself. And I did that a lot, actually. So every environment and every side mission has like an optional list of junk you can find. It's like, there's 5 storage crates here, go find them. And I actually kind of enjoyed just poking around all the levels, looking at all this stuff, like reading all the cans and punching open stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I appreciated it. And then I think the visuals play a lot into the gunplay.
Yeah.
Just because it runs so well and it has such a good frame rate. On console, was it like a solid 60 the whole time?
Really smooth, yeah.
It's Rage, man. That was like the banner feature of Rage, 60 FPS no matter what. Same on PC. It actually has resolution scaling to make sure you stay at 60. And then it's also no loading once you're in the game. So going into levels, going into towns, you just get out and run.
Sometimes the door will take a little while to open, but yeah, no loading screens at all, which is a huge change from the first one, where they were quite long.
Lastly, I can talk about the sound really quickly. I think for me, mostly the sound is just the guns. They sound really good. And when you go into overdrive and like you're just blasting the shotgun, that's almost some like Quake Doom sensibility level, just motherfucking kill engine stuff.
Some of the overdrives, I do want to say, like, one of them made me feel unwell. Some of it's very overwhelming, and I feel like if you have epilepsy, this game is going to be intense, because some of it's a lot of flashing and like, but sometimes it's very exciting. There was just one gun where I was like, oh boy, that's a lot.
So, I was wondering about this. I got a series of horrible migraines last week. it started before I started playing Rage, but I wonder if playing Rage maybe...
Hey, I had a concussion and tried to play Rage and had to stop because it was way too much.
Yeah, when you click on Overdrive, because it's basically strobing yellow and purple.
Yeah.
And it's such a high FPS game that strobe is like really intense. So yeah,
It's
warning.
good that you know that that's happening, and Overdrive, when it's happening, is very obvious to anyone who doesn't have epilepsy, but it could make you a little bit sick. I feel like that was worth pointing at.
Yeah, but the music was good. The music is pretty wild. It's like a lot of overdriven guitar and cool synths and stuff. Yeah, it's post-apocalypse. That's what it's going to sound like. Voice acting I thought was pretty great. Both, you can actually choose male or female for your main character. It just affects your voice, but they're both really good.
Yeah, I chose male. I felt like he was all right.
Yeah, he's, the same kind of irascible.
Yeah.
Always a dry remark and smirk kind of guy.
Yeah, we should disclose, friend of the show, Rahul Kohli has like 3 roles in the game.
Yeah, I saw him in the credits.
So,
I was like, oh, no.
Just so you're aware of that, he is in it. And
Yeah.
we are friends with him.
Actually, I saw
He's
somebody
the
I met
trader,
like 10 years ago. Oh!
the one who drives.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I am Garcia the Gregarious, trader and traveler, merchant of fine merchandise.
That little thing, you honk your horn, he like walks into the back.
Which
and
is
pops
actually
up.
very cool.
It's cute.
Traders drive around the world. It reminded me of like Fable the Lost Chapters, where you could be like, excuse me, sir, I would like to trade. And just like walking through all the towns and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Beetle
Traders.
from Zelda.
Yeah.
He's always walking down, puts down his little thing. It's adorable. So, okay, final thoughts. What are you thinking? For me, I said it a lot. It's still just weird to me that this is Rage 2 and everything that means. It's a game that if you had said, hey, do you want a sequel to Rage? I'd be like, sure.
I didn't expect it to be Rage 2 at all, and you're right that it is. And it was weird when I realized that it was. And was like, oh no, that makes sense. But I didn't see it coming.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I guess it was something about playing Rage. I thought, well, that was a nice try.
Yeah.
Like, they'll probably never do that again.
Yeah, but I still feel that way about this one. I'm like, well, it was a nice try. It's a good game.
I would buy another Rage.
Well, that's the thing people keep asking me today is, would you buy it? Or like, should I buy it or should I get it on sale? This one, I feel like I can't answer that question without knowing you personally, because if you like shooting and you like a game like Doom, you're probably going to like Rage 2. I would buy it full price because I found it really fun. But there are plenty of parts where it's lacking, so if you want an open world that's fun to explore, if you're a person who cares more about a game like Fallout, probably not.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I guess depending on what you like about Fallout. If you're into Far Cry and you're still into Far Cry, absolutely get Rage 2.
Very
It's kind of
Far
a
Cry.
better version of Far Cry right now.
Rage 2, the sequel you never expected, but it definitely is one. See you next time.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
If you're in the mood to go visit a hellscape, blow up weird mutant creatures, well, we got a video game for you. It's called Florida! Got it, but much like Florida, something might be a little rotten in the state of game reviews here.
Yeah, Lawrence has a little chip on his old shoulder regarding Rage 2 scores. Are you gonna take down those corrupt game journalists?
I got this trophy for a reason. It's for upholding games journalism.
It's a fake trophy.
What?
That's all the time we have for Lawrence today.
We'll actually get back to him in a minute so he can take those game reviewers down a peg. Let's cover what we're talking about first. That's right.